Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL. Okay! Welcome to FMLFPL Milan.
This Walsh.
We're back, baby.
Yep. Premium pod. It begins.
Premium pod, yeah, just all your money on these 2 or 3 guys, basically. It's all
no
that's
pressure,
happening.
no prash.
Yeah.
How you doing?
These decisions don't even matter. It's just who you captain every week and get you all the points.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. It was last week was more fun because it's just we could just go on and we just let loose.
It was chaotic.
Yeah,
Game's gone.
Whatever happens.
This is like work.
Yeah,
it's time
this
to
is
go to
like,
work
okay,
here,
we need to talk about all these people.
Yeah. Listen to us idiots talk about all this shit that we know nothing about.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So we usually start with keepers, so let's just start with keepers.
Yeah. So just before we get started, we're going to do back to front premium price bracket and just kind of talk about what we're seeing there.
Yeah.
5.5 million goalkeepers, 6 million and up defenders, 10 million and up mids, 9.5 million and up forwards we're going to go for. So
and then
keepers, we
week,
have...
Sorry, I was just going to say next week we're doing the mid-tier, mid-price guys, and then the week after that budget price with firesides in between. So let's go.
Yeah. So we got 3 5-5 names at goalkeeper this year. We have Alisson, Ederson, and Lloris. I mean, I think the main talking point here is just that there is no 6 million goalkeeper anymore, which thank fucking God, right?
Great decision
Great
by
call
them.
By the new intern.
Yeah, the new intern is killing
New
it.
intern had a lot of influence because there were some actual good constructive decisions that were made.
Exactly,
Positive decisions that were made.
Yeah.
Love this decision by them
But
because it
before
actually means...
Yeah, it means they're relevant. It means they're in the game. Yeah. Before we go player to player, we did get some just overarching questions. So Owen said, premium goalkeepers are much more popular than previous years. Alisson has the highest ownership among these. Can we discuss who's most popular between Ederson, Alisson, Lloris, how these guys shape up versus the other options? Harley Boy said, in the past, early season meta with goalkeepers is finding the best cheap guy on a team that allows save opportunities for a decent floor for save points and bones. Seems like this year I'm seeing way more managers wanting to start in the premium keeper, either Ederson or Alisson. I don't really understand, since they aren't forced to make many saves, take up a valuable spot for outfield players on those teams who have much higher ceilings. Why are the premium goalkeepers so popular now as opposed to waiting to the end of the season? So is it just the price, or do you think there's something more there as to why they have like real ownership, these guys? Yeah,
usually they're very minuscule, right? The ownership of I think it's 2 things. The price obviously can't be discounted. I mean, the fact that these players are 5.5 is immense. I mean, it's there now, except for Lloris. I mean, Ederson and Alisson are the cheapest nailed routes into the defense, which is meaningful. But also, something that we've been talking about and we'll continue to touch on, when we know the least amount of information right now before Game Week 1 starts, what are the bankable things that we actually know in advance? And that is, Liverpool and City are going to be 1-2, who knows which order, in clean sheets. Yep. That's just something that we know will happen unless if there's some catastrophe. And when you have that level of certainty, that degree of certainty, it's just a nice thing to kind of hang your hat on, right?
Yep, absolutely. So I mean, how do we do this? Just talk about each one. I mean, I think Lloris is the by far least owned, but I don't think he's a bad pick at all.
I mean, we know he's the least owned. He's only 4%. I mean, Ederson's at 13 and Alisson's at 19.
It's crazy high.
I mean, I think that this is really interesting grouping of 3 players because they all have very different reasons for and against.
Yes.
And none of them overlap. Alisson, interestingly, there are many nailed routes into this clean sheet. There's 4 options that you could pick. Alisson's the cheapest. With Ederson, there aren't a lot of nailed routes in. I mean, we kind of think it's going to be Laporte and Dias, but they're still sort of knocking around. There's Cancelo, and then there's nothing. But we know that Robbo, Van Dijk, and Trent are all amazing routes into the defense. For those points. Lloris, Ederson doesn't make any saves. he really kind of caps out around 150. I mean, there's just nothing he can do to get bonus points or saves. Like, we have so much tape on him and so much of a history of that. Like,
the 20 and he's not going to get more than 20 cleans.
No,
right? You
there's
can't
no
get
room.
No one's getting 28 cleans. Like, that's just not a thing.
Yeah, there's no room there. But I think with Ederson, the interesting thing with him is that there just aren't three like outstanding banging over your head options on City that you could afford.
Yeah.
Right. Like, everyone's got Haaland, obviously, but you want three City players because they're the best team, or arguably the best team in the league. But I think it's people have Ederson so much because it's kind of process by elimination of just like, well, Foden question, like wingers question marks, have Haaland already, like how much money do we have to spend? Like the center backs are sort of meh, can get like the Chelsea guys instead, right? So Ederson just sort of is there, but it doesn't I feel like Lloris is maybe better because under Conte, he made saves and he gets bonus. And we know right now that we don't know three for sure City picks that we want, but things change quickly. Like by the time it's game week 3 or 4, you could be looking at the City team and saying like, you want Foden, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say, because the thing that I thought of when I was looking at Eddie was, I don't know if we talked about this even on the postmortem, but it was definitely a thing in my season last season where I basically had Kevin 0 game weeks all last season. Mm-hmm. I had Foden, Diaz, Laporte for... Diaz, Cancelo, and then maybe one of the, at some point changed to Laporte or something like that. Forever, I had Triple City all season, and it felt really constrictive in that way. I wanted Kev, but it always just seemed like, oh my god, I obviously can't go Foden to Kev. This has to be a -8 to get Kev.
Yeah, it's a triple move.
It just felt like really bad to be like completely locked in with City basically all season, where I was thinking exactly basically what you just said, whereas like, if people are starting with, I think chalk is probably Ederson, Cancelo, Haaland. Yeah. And Jack starts 3 out of the first 4 games, or Mahrez starts 3 out of the first 4 games, or Foden starting, attacking mid, or, who the fuck knows, because it's, Pep and City. It's pretty annoying to like double move out Ederson because that's not what you don't pick Ederson to like transfer out. You pick Ederson because he's like the most secure thing possible, and he's going to get you 20 cleans.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and with Lloris, you look at the landscape of the team and you think of, well, there isn't really a world in life that you're going to have 3 Spurs players because Son and Kane are too expensive and there are better expensive picks on other teams. The other defender, we're talking about Paris, sure, that guy's going to emerge, but like, that's it. There's 2 wing backs, there's the goalie, and then there's Son and Kane.
Right.
And you throw something in there, maybe you want to talk about Kulusevski or something, maybe someone gets hurt, right? But
maybe the other wing back pops off, like Doc comes back healthy and but it's not to the same extent as like, oh my God, there's this attacker on City who I fucking need.
And it's also, right, it's worth saying, just in a vacuum, looking at Lloris compared to Ederson, Lloris got more points last year, and they were a fucking mess for like half the season.
At least half the season.
Under Conte, right, he was making saves. He's got a decent number of bonus points. There is room for, you're not crazy saying like Lloris is going to have more fantasy points at the end of the season than Ederson. And again, this isn't to say that we're picking this player game week 1 to hold him for 38, but
or
just
Alisson.
Yeah. Well, so Alisson, kind of leaving Alisson out of this conversation so far, but we're going to be doing this kind of in and out of like, well, who should we pick for game week 1 versus like what are more meta game, more philosophical like questions. And, you as a listener can kind of discern and take what you want. But with Lloris, it's like that safety is nice. And Alisson sort of runs into similar problems as Ederson, I think, in that, there are just so many good picks and we know all the good picks. Like there's Diaz, there's Mo, and then there's the 3 defenders, and then there's Alisson. So you have 6 right there that are good. Yep. But Alisson at 5'5", like the thing that's really interesting about him to me is that how can he not finish the season with the most points in this position? Like that is a hard world unless he gets injured. He just gets 175 points. He plays, he gets 175 points. He gets fucking bonus points.
Yeah, the 2 seasons he didn't get injured, he got 176 both seasons.
And he's only saved 1 pen in his entire life. Like he's not even getting those weird seasons where the keeper saves 2 or 3 pens and that's an extra 20 points, right?
No, he's very consistent. Points. The saves, the bonus, the points he scores are very consistent. It's predictable.
Like I think that he's also worth thinking about, even though he locks you out of a pick. But, you know, when you look at Robbo or Van Dijk or Diaz, I mean, they're all expensive, you know, and there are other options. You know, I mean, Alisson's a very viable, very good pick, I think. Like, if you start with Mo, Trent, Alisson, that's good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what's hard about Liverpool, right? Like, Liverpool in itself is its own puzzle. Because, like you said, like, right now they're 6. 2 months into the season, there might be 7, there might be 8. Yeah. And you have to only pick 3, and they're all going to be really good. So it becomes tricky. Yeah,
but the thing about it is also just Alisson is better than the other 2 picks here.
Yes.
Like the goalkeeper spot, just looking at the goalkeepers, like Alisson's just the best one.
Well, weirdly, Lloris is the only one that could get to Alisson's point total. Ederson really can't.
With a lot of luck. Yeah,
he Ederson really can't. Yeah.
Lloris, I think.
I mean, again, you said it. They were terrible for half a season. You finished 18 points behind them. That's like not that many points. If they just play at a better level, and you know they got Basuma, they're getting Longley. Perisic,
16 cleans, 11 bonus for Lloris. Yeah,
like that could just happen. You know, so it's all interesting. And there's also the thing with Alisson too that we haven't mentioned, where you know it could be a City situation also. Like, who's to say Nunez doesn't just start the first 4 games and score 3 goals, and then everyone's like, you know, he goes up 0.5 and everyone's getting Nunez, and you have Alisson and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, those are the kind of hypotheticals that are worth just at least considering, because you know that with Lloris, you're not, and this is another trick, right? It's not to say, oh, okay, so leave one of those spots open. It's like, no, you still want to have 3 players from the 2 best teams, I think, just as from like a standpoint there. But if you have Lloris back there, I mean, then maybe you just do Cancelo and you have a center back from City, or you do punt on the mid there, or you do get 2 Liverpool defenders and you put one of the City guys. Like, the way the jigsaw falls, if you put Lloris in, is kind of interesting to play around with just in your tinkers. I think it's a worthy exercise. But basically, when I've been doing all this, I feel like it's kind of led me to think that Ederson's like the worst pick of the 3.
Right. Yeah, he's
really
like,
where I've come to.
Weirdly the most obvious because of everything you said. Like, there's like, Cancelo feels like the only really, really safe guy to me in the back line because they're just so crazy. But, and so getting a 5-5 Ederson, cheaper than Diaz, cheaper than Laporte, obviously nailed, seems the most obvious. But yeah, he has comparatively just a pretty low ceiling, which is really crazy to say for a keeper who we expect like 20 cleans, but he gets fucking 9 points more than Salah last season.
Yeah, and I mean, and it also with him is, I mean, you can set your clock to it. Like, he's gotten the last 4 seasons, he's played over 3,000 minutes, and he's gotten 4, 3, 2, and then 6 bonus points all year. I mean, we see what City does. I mean, they have bonus point monsters everywhere with the pass completion percentage.
He makes no saves.
He makes no saves. He's made around 60 saves every year. I mean, he's going to get 150, like plus minus a couple, right? I mean, that also, you set your clock to it. But he's, I think, just a worse points outlook than Lloris and Alisson. So, like, why are we picking that player just to have, like, the third City? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It feels like a coverage thing.
A coverage thing, sure.
Like, people just get him and they're like, okay, I can't afford Cancelo, but at least I'll get the City cleans, which I don't think is completely bullshit. But when you're talking about the guy, when you're talking about paying the most you can play in the game for a keeper, and he has the lowest ceiling of all of the expensive guys, we basically know what his point total is already going in, barring injury. And then, like, there's always multiple keepers between the 140 and 150 range who cost 0.5 less or $1 million less. Right. It's like, I just don't really understand getting Ederson.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't think I would actually come. I mean, he was like one of the first things I did.
Yeah, I've had him in plenty of tinkers. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I mean, then I did start playing around more with like the Alisson and what that looks like. And I mean, all signs kind of just kept pointing to Lloris makes the most sense.
Right.
Because I have no interest in really any Spurs players right now except for Perisic. And if I ever do, it would just be one if I want to go for a little short-term pop on captaincy or something.
Caps or something, yeah.
And Lloris, I mean, he's a captain. He plays every game. And they should improve, I mean, they play with 3 defenders. Like, they fucking, I don't know.
Is there something to coverage though? Like, honestly, we've never really done it though. But you can't afford Cancelo, right? Let's just say he gets 200 points. Getting Eddie's 150 points so that Cancelo points are less bad for you? Like, does that make any game theory sense? Like,
I don't know. I mean, this goes into some like insanity about like the effective ownership questions and stuff. But I still think, you know, to me, when I look at this, is I like comparing them both to the positional options of who else you can have. Like, well, is Lloris actually getting me more points than Ederson? Because that's how you're like getting the most points out of your players on your team.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you don't have the City defender and they're keeping cleans at a really high clip, and you're instead you have trips in that spot, right? I mean, you might be coming out net behind on that. So like with Diaz, you know, I was looking at like, okay, well, Diaz's ownership is like 40%. So what's the combined ownership of like the second Liverpool clean? Like, okay, so if Diaz is outpacing, you know, the clean sheet, and I have Diaz instead of like Robbo, like what really needs to happen here for me to look okay? You know, and like how reasonable is that? You know, I think those are all the kind of things that I think about when I look at the effective ownership stuff. Right. But, you know, I mean, just because it puts you in risk more, I think, because it really, like, if you don't have Ederson, for example, right, and you don't have Cancelo, if you have no City clean, you have to be hitting your other guy. Like the guys you have instead can't just be putting up twos, because those are just going to be points that you're pissing to the wind,
more and more behind.
So it's like if you're making budgetary sacrifices there, then, you know, your third premium better be fucking worth the third premium, you know, because that to me is how it affects the rest of your squad. So, you know, those are the kind of things I think about. And all of this, or most of it, or some of it, is definitely like wrong, incorrect maths or whatever, but it's just my kind of process.
I mean, if someone wants to respond and send us an article or throw it in like stats and links on Discord, I'll check it out. But it's like decisions like this of making these guys 5-5 and not 6 is what makes the game fun for us, I think.
Agree completely.
It's just like, oh wow, they're viable, they're options. It's a more difficult puzzle. There's more solutions that get you OR, you know, top 1,000, whatever. So
there are more ways for me to finish 2 million.
Yeah, exactly.
This is great.
Exactly. The post-mortem is just going to be like, oh yeah, we should have got fucking Hendo.
No, but I mean, it's still the same thing of like, in seasons past, we spent all of these mental gymnastics on goalkeeper as like, which 4 or 5 goalkeeper is best, and now it's just which goalkeeper is best. Yeah, and that's great. Like that's amazing. So yeah. So I ended up, you know, really preferring Lloris in this trio.
Me too.
Yeah. So interesting. I think that was the most surprised that I was, like, as I was like thinking and preparing, you know, for this episode. Is going, because I hadn't thought or considered him like at all until I was like, oh, we have the premium. Oh, there's 3. Okay, well, what's going on here? Yeah,
because it's usually just Eddie and Ali are the only 6s, and then there's other guys grouped below them, and they did a good job. So let's go to defense. I mean, we could just continue on City maybe. Hemdo said, I need your take on Big at the back. Is it obvious to go? I feel like I'm being stubborn not going it, but I'd love your takes. And then Man City questions we got were Tio. He said, how are you feeling about the 6-0 City Ds versus Cancelo? Is it worth it to drop down for an extra mil elsewhere? Eddie's the cheapest nailed way in, and then assuming you have Haaland, that leaves only one spot. And then Admin said, what City defender do you go for? Is Cancelo worth the extra mil? Same thing. All 3 should be first choice, right? Yeah.
All right. So we'll start with City. So how do you see that? Cancelo, Diaz, Laporte?
I mean, straight up, I just think, to answer both of their questions, I do think he's worth an extra million. I'm not good enough at math to actually come up with a, like, what is 1 million in defense worth for points. Yeah. But, I mean, he's going to score between, like, 60 and 40 more points than them. So that seems really worth it to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because you look at like, oh, well, I just click this and it's still the same sky blue picture. Like, it's fine, right, guys? Like, and then you look at, really like, well, okay. I mean, Cancelo is just so fucking good at FPL. Like, he's just so good at it. Everything he does, he's not only does he create all of these actions, he's fucking bonus monster. Even when he doesn't get a attacking return, he gets fucking bonus point. I don't know why. I mean, I guess he just attempts things. I mean,
it's all the like progression and stuff too. It's all the just like moving the ball up the pitch, winning back possession. I'm sure pass completion he's probably hitting every single week, like all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I do really like Laporte over Diaz though. I mean, I think at this point, we see Laporte's, underlying stats are just so good. And, last season having 6 combined returns and, but there were goals, even though Diaz had 7, it seemed like it was a little bit luckier to me watching Diaz play. But Laporte's also the left footer. And, they're talking about Ake, and I feel like I like that spot more.
Yeah, I mean, the only 2 full seasons we've gotten out of Laporte, the first one, in 18-19, he was an absolute fucking donger. 3 goals, 3 assists. And then last season, 4 goals, 2 assists, under his XG while doing that. So below average, even though he's scored 4 goals, is really crazy. I also prefer Laporte. I wonder what's going to happen with like Calvin and how that all shakes up and what they're going to... I feel like their team is like a little bit weird right now. It's not weird in the sense that it's not going to be probably the best in the league, but just weird in the sense that it's not the same exact like for like as it's been for the last like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it should be Cancelo, Diaz, and Laporte, and TBD on the other fullback. But
well, we don't know. I mean, they still could buy. We don't know yet.
They could still buy, and that would change things. Yeah. Cucurella at 5 would change a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Laporte and Diaz are definitely safe, steady, 150 picks. Range points. I mean, they're gonna, if they're playing. I mean, Diaz gets you a little bit better bonus points. Laporte gives you a little bit more dongs, but they're still both good. They're first choice as of what we know right now.
Yeah. The thing that also I like about Cancelo is that, like, I don't know, maybe this is too hyperbolic, but I feel like last season's his floor. Like, he scored
we talked a little bit about that.
Fucking goal.
But the 11 is a high assist total.
11's a high assist total, but when you're playing in Man City and you're the number 1 creator, at wide creator at least, he shot 81 fucking times. He put up 4.1 XG. He got 1 goal.
Yeah, that is, I mean, when we did, I think, touch on this, right, last pod of just that idea of, he has goals to give, and he already hit 200 last year. So, I think, he's in like 45% of the teams. At 7 million, it's reflective. I mean, he's in so kind of like the Trent level of, he's in half the teams. I mean, he's fucking so good. I don't feel like that's a place that you want to be cutting a corner.
Yeah, I agree.
Really at all.
And he was donging in Champions League too. They just didn't happen to go in the Prem. Yeah, and I think you mentioned this on last pod too, but I'm sure a lot of people are not going to go Kev, not going to go Haaland to try and sort out other stuff. Like, I feel like Cancelo's captainable. I feel like he showed that last season. That in a fucking home banker, he's amazing on bones, obviously clean. He can get an assist. Like, that turns into double digits really fast.
Yeah.
Whereas, I wouldn't cap Laporte. I'm never capping Laporte in home Bournemouth. Never ever.
Right.
So
Right.
That's something.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah. Okay. And then I think that's good for City now. I mean, and we could touch back on this. The transfer window is still wide open. We just saw Raz move and shit. So we'll see if because they have been rumored to be looking for a center back, which could upset the apple cart here. Yeah, I've been seeing that.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, maybe it's someone that's younger or whatever. But I mean, if they're talking about letting Ake go over to fucking Chelsea for like $1 billion, I have no idea why he's 50 million. I don't
has a fee. Yeah, there's been some shocking transfer fees. Bergwijn,
insane.
30 mil.
It really. I was like getting actually like upset talking about it in Discord. I just like couldn't believe what was happening.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we go? There's only 3 teams, right? There's only
Liverpool and then
Chelsea
the two Chelsea guys. So so Liverpool really have just Trent 7.5, Robbo 7, Van Dijk 6.5. I mean, Trent...
And Matip 6, but...
Yeah, we don't need to talk about him. I mean, Trent... It's kind of crazy to me thinking of teams without Trent. And, I mean, it's sort of the same exact thing when I see teams without Cancelo. I'm just like, they're giving you 7,200,000 points, like, right here.
Yeah. Like, minimum.
Yeah.
Like, either Trent or Cancelo can put up 230, and that wouldn't be weird. It would just be like, they're really good.
Yeah.
So, their shots Trent, went in. They got a couple more assists. That's 230.
Yeah, I mean, Trent at 7.5 is just kind of a joke. But, I mean, talking about Robbo and Van Dijk, I mean, do you see the 0.5 worth it there? I mean, is that something that you'd consider? Going Van Dijk over Robbo if you're not going to have Diaz?
I mean, it's certainly reasonable,
Yeah.
I mean, Van Dijk's going to get his goals. He's going to start every game. I think we did see flashes last season of like Robbo getting fatigued and Robbo missing a little bit of time for Sim.
Yeah. World Cup for him, though.
That was the first time we've seen it. And obviously, he's going to be like captaining, playing every minute for Scotland too. So we'll see how that goes. But,
No, they didn't make it.
Oh, didn't they not?
No, they're out. Oh. He's got a break.
Never mind. That's great for him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's sort of just like correct pricing. I feel like there's like not that much to dive in there. Like if you really need the 0.5 to improve some other part of your team, you should just take it, I think, and just make that change. Obviously it's more fun watching the guys who like get the points in open play and like cross to the goal and it's fucking dong to dong and you cap mo and it's amazing. It's more fun than like just hoping on a corner that Van Dijk's gonna get ahead to it or something. But their points are very similar. DVD's 183 last year.
Yeah.
And the two other full seasons was 178 and 208. And Robbo's 186, 161, 181, 213, so.
I mean, I was like almost, again, this is sort of similar like the Lloris. I was like, what is the actual reasoning other than it's fun to own the guy who plays in the final third more to spend more on, like, I couldn't come up with anything.
Between Robbo and Van Dijk?
Yeah, like, why would you ever get Robbo or Van Dijk?
Just talking it out right now, I think you're right. I mean, it's just like, it's lazy to go Robbo over Van Dijk almost, because you're just getting the fun, cool guy who takes corners and does crazy shit and runs really hard. But Van Dijk just puts up the same points every year.
Where did Van Dijk show up on his expected stats this year? With 3 goals, 3 assists. I mean, that seems under. I mean, well, the assist is stupid for a center back. He just kind of gets them from deflections or rebounds. But
probably.
I mean, it felt
he only
like
had
watching
one
them.
Real assist.
Yeah, it felt like 3 goals would be under. Just based on watching Liverpool throughout
it's basically
the year.
just even. He finished at 2.4 on the goals. So
yeah. It's so weird with him, like watching him on set pieces, because it feels to me like he just like doesn't really try.
I know.
And when he does try, it's like, oh yeah, that was so easy.
Yeah. No, I've had that same sensation. And sometimes he scores and he doesn't even jump.
Yeah.
He just goes like. And it's like, oh, nice. Awesome.
He just holds the guy, neither of them
holds him. He just holds him. Yeah. And then sometimes he sprints in from outside the box and jumps and just fucking dongs one. I'm like, can you just LeBron dunk the ball in every time? Like, just do that. But, I think you've sold me on that. But, Vax's question was, how crazy is it to punt on Rob over Trent for a 3 to 4 week window?
Why?
I don't get it.
If you need 0.5 that badly, just like that doesn't feel like where it should be coming from.
I agree.
I mean, of course, you could do that and get 9 extra points. That's 4.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of windows that happened.
Like if you're like, what's the thinking there? Like, okay, I'm definitely dead ending my team for a few weeks. I'm going to be wild carding, like blah, 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 blah. But just as easily as you could, come out ahead a few points there. I mean, you could also come down like 20, I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like there's better places that you could kind of do that. But
Trent got 32 bones last season.
Yeah, I mean, he's insane. He's an absolute monster. But yeah, I mean, like Van Dijk, I mean, just like the center backs on City, like why they're good too is that, Liverpool and City they get the most set pieces in the league too.
Yeah, they get the most everything.
They're the best teams in the league, so they have the most opportunities here. It's not like you're getting the Watford center back who has like 2 corners a game.
Yeah.
Watford's not in the league anymore. I don't know why I just went to
Watford.
But, yeah, wow. But, I mean, I think we sort of just, Robbo's so good, automatic. Meanwhile, you just look at Van Dijk's like history page and it's just, he just does the same thing, and he doesn't overperform. Like, he doesn't overperform like these XA numbers, like which Robbo kind of does sometimes, but it's just like very repeatable, like somewhere around like 6 to 8 attacking returns every year. Pretty okay on bones, like plays every minute he can, and he's just same, like you're going to get the same points.
Same points.
And it's cheaper. Seems
cheaper,
good.
Especially when it's more important, which is game week 1.
Yeah.
So it's just like good in every way. Yeah, it's funny with the premium defender, like just whole section. I feel like there's not like that much to talk about because they're all basically good. Well, until we get to Chelsea, but it's what's going to come down to it is more the future pods where we're like, okay, I'm getting this guy instead of Van Dijk, and here's why, But so then there's the two Chelsea guys, Chilwell and Reece, both 6. J Dong said, what are your thoughts on Ederson over Cancelo or Mendy over James Chilwell, and then using the money saved to beef up midfield while still having the good defense? So same idea with like the coverage and
I mean, Reece is in 43% of the teams right now. Yeah. So, let's spend some time on this.
Oh my God. I mean, my whole thing with Chelsea is that I just think the team is really fucked up. The midfield's really fucked up, and the defense is really fucked up.
Yeah.
And then they spent big money on Raz.
Yeah.
And they let Lukaku go for free.
They needed...
Like, that's what they're doing.
They needed a new Timo, who's a bit better.
It's just like, I don't see a plan.
What if they get Ake?
Oh my God.
Bournemouth's
25 cleans minimum. No, I just don't get what they're doing at all.
Yeah. This is also where we need to take a step back and remember that we do play a game that's FPL. And, looking at just the ownership percentages of like, how convicted are we of these views versus he's in 43% of the teams. He also, like, low-key just got 14 attacking returns in not even 2,000 minutes.
Right.
Clearly, like, improved last year and is young, like, better, just getting
really
better.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's really good. As much of, like, bastard man, lore happened when he got these 0-pointers and shit. And, he burned some of us badly. Others than he didn't. But, where do you draw the line of, like, no, I really think Chelsea are a mess and they're going to start slowly versus, wait a minute, he's in half the teams. And if I'm wrong here, I'm in trouble. And that's the kind of difficult one where
it's the most difficult thing. It's the thing I struggle with way more than anything because, and I mean, we'll get there with Haaland too, because I think, he's even in more teams. And every fucking alarm in my head is like, no, why would you get Haaland? This makes no sense. And then he's in 60% of teams. And it's the same with Reece. I mean, Reece makes more sense to me than Haaland because of all the reasons you said. He's just really good. Tuchel's good. Chelsea's still good, even though I think maybe they're not the third best team. They're still the fourth best team.
Right.
They still have a lot of good players, even though they're missing some key zones.
And right 6 isn't a lot.
Yeah, 6 isn't a lot. Everyone's healthy now. Yeah. Even though I think it's really dumb to go into a midfield relying on Conte, Kovacic, and Jorginho.
Well, Gallagher's there.
I know, but he's not like a deep midfielder. They just have nothing behind those three, really. Maybe like fucking Loftus-Cheek or something. But, I don't know the answer. Can you guide me to an answer there?
Well, he's been the hardest one to me because, I've been trying to like not be subjective using my feelings, which is just he's never getting in my team ever again after what happened last year with my experiencing with him. But there isn't really a lot of coherent logic to not having him just based on what we know now. Whether or not he's playing as wingback or fullback, the player is only 6 million here, and he's very injury prone, but we don't buy the player for 3,000 minutes right away. He's fit initially, and I agree with you that there's a lot of turmoil. I totally am with you on that. But I think it is more to the point where we don't understand the business like you're mentioning. We don't understand the direction the squad's going like you're mentioning. The Bowley stuff is weird. Like he's the fucking head of ops. Like he just buys the team and he starts running player personnel decisions.
He's like I want Raz and Ronaldo. Yeah, it's just what? Not FIFA.
We're looking at some things that aren't, maybe the pieces aren't fitting together in our heads, but I do trust Tuchel as a good manager. And,
me too.
They do still have a good stable of talent on disposal for Tuchel to pick the team from. And I just kind of feel like they're still going to be, top 4. They're still going to be either third or fourth with Spurs to me right now.
Yeah.
And, at 6 million pop here, even without that uncertainty around the team, there's no uncertainty around Reece James. Unless he's playing center back.
The player.
The player. If he's playing right side center back, then you want to fucking jump off a bridge. But, assuming that's not happening because they don't have any, whatever. He's just a good pick. I think Chilwell you kind of can throw in the same category, but, it doesn't make sense to pick the 10%er over the 40%er game week 1 when you're looking at this more of a splitting
that
hairs
doesn't
to
make
me.
any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another thing that makes this difficult for me is also like, I think everything you said is totally logical, but it's like is this wisdom of the crowd, or is this everyone just following what someone else said to do? Because those are not the same thing.
No. And I mean, this is kind of what I was just posing to you, right? Is ownership begets ownership. Like people see like, oh, well, this guy's 30%. Oh, and then he must be a good pick. I put him on my team. Plenty of people are doing that.
And they listen to the pods that we don't listen to, and they all have Reece.
I mean, are you buying yesterday's points and following some sheep? Or are are we identifying something where we're saying, no, this is too wrong? Even if playing the FPL game standpoint, it makes sense in air quotes to start with the high-owned guys, start with the template, diverge little bits when you see different angles as the season. Versus, no, okay, he's owned by every other team out there, and I'm going to be, part of the 5 million that don't own him, and I'm going to push my chips in on this. I don't know. I'm still I think the most undecided I am of any player in the game is Reece, because it still comes back to like Solanke, right? What are we doing here? Yeah. And it's like, are we gonna just stick with, no, this is something that we believe in, that we've seen over the last few years, or is it, I don't know. We'll have to see as the next few weeks unfold.
I can't wait to ask these questions to fireside chats, people who are actually really good at FPL, and see what they do about it. Because surely everyone runs into this at some point. Like I didn't even know Reece was this highly owned, but I've had this nonstop back and forth with Haaland.
I've had it less with Haaland and more with Reece, because with Haaland, I think that is an acceptable thing to me, where it's like, I can just be tanking my season by game week 4. And do I think Haaland's a good pick? No. I think he's a terrible pick. I don't think he's a good pick at all. I think he will be a good pick at some point, but I think he's a bad pick. I'm not willing to like gamble my season on that, though, in like a 4-game week span when he's owned by like 3/4 of the teams,
Yeah.
Versus like with Reece, a small sample of Reece for a few weeks, like you don't have him. It's like, well, okay, what's the worst? Like, okay, maybe he pops up for one big haul, but it's a little bit different to me because Haaland's going to be capped. So it's like, you're doubling, he's going to be in like the 140 range in some game weeks, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's like those kind of things where I'm like, okay, I can, do this. Like I'm doing that. Playing FPL, I'm not picking the players I like the most, doing the thing. But I mean, you can't do that with every single spot.
You can't do it with every pick. Yeah. That's the thing, right? Like that's where it begins to not work. If you just blindly follow every single pick.
You have to be able to.
Yeah,
exactly. Identify those spots, like you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm probably not going to get Reece because I do feel pretty strongly about this. It's also July, and 3 weeks from now they could have bought 2 center backs and a midfielder, and then we're just like, Chelsea are going to be really good again, and then it makes a lot more sense to me. But as like my defense right now is Trent, Cancelo, Perisic, Trips, and Nico Williams when he transfers to Forest.
That's the exact 5 I have.
And I mean, there's literally no one that I would drop for Reece there, including Nico Williams. Like
yeah.
So that's where I struggle.
Tough.
That's
I'm still Trips. I'm still not sure about.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to midfield. I mean,
that was so brutal.
Yeah, this is running long. Well, forwards is going to be really short because there's like 2. But
there's
like
fine. 3. Yeah. So mids, I mean, Mo, we don't need to talk about. People who keep sending me no Mo drafts, I just can't entertain it. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's not in the cards. Sorry. We got some Kev questions. Chester said, if you play FPL, owning Kev feels like a trap. 12 mil for a player not on pens, therefore not likely to cap. If you watch City and play FPL, not owning Kev is a nightmare. He does it all. Will he be in your Game Week 1 team? And then Mukizi said, also came here to ask your opinion on Kev. Why are we picking an unproven asset ahead of him? Which I'm sure references Haaland.
Yeah, of course.
So we talked about Kev last week a bit. Is there more to say about Kev?
No, I mean, I think this is fundamentally one of those things where, we're just, putting those handcuffs on and saying the FPL game is dictating that this is the correct way to play the game. Not, I think this is right and smart and good.
Yeah.
And I think that, those are the mark, because you can go against what your instinct is because the percentages aren't as great. Like, I think that, but I'm like 60% sure.
Right.
Because Haaland is still like one of the best players in the world. And he
one of the best picks in the game.
Yeah, he could come in and just run train on these teams and be the focal point and be receiving all of these chance creating actions by all of these world-class players around him and just dong for fun.
Yeah.
Or he could be Timo Werner and not know where the goal is all of a sudden and his career falls apart.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to bet that on that stake. I just think that it's close enough. But
I wonder,
Kevin's great.
When we used to be not so bad at this game, I mean, you were legit good. I feel like we didn't even really know what the ownership was. I didn't have a good indication of 60% of people own so-and-so. It was basically just me and you texting back and forth and thinking I'm going to get this guy. Do you want this guy or this guy? Yeah. I wonder if we were just doing the most obvious thing back then. It just didn't feel as bad because we didn't know that everyone else was also doing it.
That's possible.
Back then, 8 years ago, we just have Haaland on our team and we're like, oh, dude, such a good pick, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't feel bad at all because it's just me and you texting.
That's
and we're
possible.
dude, I'm capping Haaland game week 2. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's possible. That's entirely possible. I mean, sometimes more information makes you make worse decisions or something.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and that could be could be one of those.
Great pick, great player. He's going to get 200 points.
Phenomenal player.
Way better pick than Haaland. I don't know what else to say.
Yep.
I'm fucking lost for words right now, dude. This ownership shit drives me up a fucking wall, dude.
Well, the thing about
I just want to do the thing I want to do.
I know. I think that's why we have been so bad, is because we've been doing that so much that we forget that we're playing a game. We're not just
with rules and shit.
Yeah, we're not just picking the players we like or doing the things we think is better. It's that also factoring in, things like this to help us make these decisions, because some spots, you want to pick the 2% owned guy, but those have a time and a place. And, game week, you want the 2% guy when it's there are 2 5 million defenders on team X. One of them is owned by 40% of the game and one's owned by 4%, but they're both center backs. You want to try and spike something like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
when it comes to these type of things,
you're right. The way you worded that spoke to me. We aren't just getting the guys who we think are going to get the most points. We have to play by the rules of the game. We're playing against millions of people
against the field. I mean, it's not. Yeah. I mean, it's not just that you get the player you think that gets the most points, therefore you win the game. It's also against the field. Because it's it is golf. Just because you hit a 68 one day doesn't mean you win. If someone hit a 67, but if you hit a 74, you could win that day. If no one hits 73, this is the same thing where the ownership does. It is a factor. It matters. It just does.
Damn, you're fucking on point right now.
We're back. This is the first time we've ever had a month off since we started potting.
Is that
We've
true?
Never done that. Yeah.
Oh my God, let's go.
Yeah, we've never done that before, I don't think.
We are back. Okay, then there's Son. We got a few questions on Sonny. He said, Einar said, as I write, Son is in 25% of teams and 100% of my nightmares. He's going to get... So good. He will get all hot, score great goals while I soup around with a bunch of 6'5" mids. Is it small dick energy to go triple premium? Great pod. Love the pod. Tio said, is Son being overlooked, or is it simply that Haaland and Mo are nailed in every team and 3 premiums just hurts the rest of the team too much? And then D Silva said, I'm not seeing private Son in many teams. Are people stupid, or is it just me?
Yeah. What do you think about Son? Quick before I throw this back at you. Home Southampton, at Chelsea, home Wolves, at NFO, at Western, home Fulham. Home Fulham. That's their opening 6.
Yeah, so you cap him home Southampton, cap him home Fulham, maybe out at Forest. Yeah, I just think he's too expensive.
Too expensive. What price would you want him to... what price is he priced to buy? 11?
Hard to say, but yeah, definitely.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think is not repeatable about him, like donging a million dongs since Conte came? Like, do you think he's going to just fall back down and regress, or he's not going to get the same chances?
Yeah, I
mean,
regress sounds like so negative. I just think he's not going to have the best season of his career.
23 open play goals.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. He's not going to have the best season of his career.
But so if he does, so 2 seasons ago, last season he had 23 and 10. 258. 2 seasons ago, he had 17 and 11, 228. That's still like best player in the game, or like top 3 players in the game.
Yeah, that's like a different story.
But if he regresses to that, which is 6 less goals, he's still like, right?
It's crazy that he was able to put up that. I guess he got 26 bonus points that year. Yeah, the cleans. Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, I just don't know. I mean, I had this question sort of for you too, because that's another thing I was just thinking about today is like we really need to talk about Spurs, because I think we both agree they're probably the 3rd best team in the league right now. They're getting stronger. They have maybe the 3rd best manager in the world. And yet we're only really considering like Perisic and Lloris. Neither of us have played with Son or Kane. I haven't really played with Kulusevski. You know, I haven't fucked with like whoever the other wingback might be.
Yeah. I mean, I think Son is an amazing pick. I just think that, you know, you can only have so many of these amazing picks. I think he's priced correctly. Like, I think 12 is what he should be priced at. Because, I mean, if you look at realistically,
like if he's
to me,
fit, if he's earn fit, 12. Yeah.
I mean, his floor was what he did 2 years ago, right? I mean, 17 and 11. That is a regression from what he did last year, which was 23 and 10. I mean, that's 6 less goals, which is a lot of less goals. I mean, and you're still easily clearing 200 points, you know, and you're still a captainable player. You know, I mean, I think Kane is in a completely different stratosphere.
We'll get to Kane because I actually don't agree. But
we're on different pages. I think I'm on a fucking lonely planet with Kane. But I mean, Son at 12, like, our team value is 100. You know, we have to have Mo. And Haaland's in, you know, 70, 60, whatever fucking percent of teams. And City are still the best chance creating team in the world. And Haaland can win the Golden Boot. Like, I mean, Son just did, but
yeah, to put in perspective, Son is 14-1 to win the Golden Boot, same as Gab Jesus.
Yeah. But I mean, Son, he's not going to score 23 goals from open play again. That's just an insane thing of his world. Like, he's just not going to do that. But he's still going to, you know, hit 200 points if he's fit. You know, he's still a good pick. And, you know, I think when our team values are maybe a little bit higher, or they have this little mini window of these are a couple really good fixtures, you know, we might make some compromises to put him in our teams.
There's that stretch. Game week 8 through 12, Mo is at Chelsea, home Brighton, at Arsenal, home City, home West Ham. Like that's really fucking bad. Those are 5 really bad games.
Yeah, and I mean, Spurs only have really one good one on paper.
Unfortunately, it doesn't line up. Yeah,
but no, I mean, I think this is really, to me, like what you're saying though, is what you need to be thinking about with Son is that, like, it might be very quick and clear that, you know, Haaland is just a non-option. And then it's, do we want Son or do we want De Bruyne to join Mo as our premium? You know, that could happen after 3 weeks.
And like Tio said, I mean, I think it really is because 3 premiums just hurts the rest of the team too much. I mean, straight up, like he said.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous concept to do that when you have so many, you know, all these 7 million midfielders who get 200 points also. We can only captain one player a fucking week. So, you know, Son, I think, should go into that stable of, you know, maybe that rotating captain spot, or looking at the fixtures where you don't want to captain Mo early on, at least initially, you know, but it's just hard to fit him in. You know, it's really hard to fit him in.
Yeah, it's fun when you think about FPL. Well, there's a lot of fun things in FPL, but one of them is that, like, trying to project what kind of season this might be, because there's a world where there's just like 6 really good premiums, like attackers. Right? There's Mo, there's Haaland, there's Kev, there's Son, there's Raz, there's Kane, there's Bruno, whatever. And we're just all going all over the place, riding caps, just going for the fucking Hatties all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
Might be that kind of year, in which case, like, I want JWP in my game week 1 team because I never want to transfer that position ever. And I just want a nailed thing, you know?
Could be.
It might be, yeah. I mean, you're probably right on Son. His points per minute or points per game or whatever in those other seasons are very close to what he put up the last 2 years. It's just that he wasn't fit.
He also was the best pick after Conte got there. Yeah. He was worse before that. And, so that also can't be, completely thrown out. He is,
they popped off.
He's an unbelievable FPL pick. I think he's way better than Haaland, right now.
I know.
Way better.
Don't say that to me.
He's way better. It's not even a close comparison. It's not close. It's literally not close. Knowing what we know now about both players, it's not close. But 40% of the players in the game think differently. So, I think that is something to be said, because we will know different things in a month, and I could be completely wrong. And Haaland could come back with the first 4 fixtures, all pretty easy, with 6 returns. And it's he is what we thought he was going to be.
Yeah, it's one thing I was looking at Man City, and we'll get to Haaland obviously, but I was just scrolling back on FBref on different Man City teams to when was the last time Kuhn played? I couldn't really remember, whatever, and just looking at the shots, and the shots that the guys in this current pre-Haaland mode were getting, it's there's some guys who get 3-ish per 90, but it's just a lot of guys in and around there. Yeah. But back in the Kuhn days, Kuhn was just getting 4.5, 5 per game per 90, insane.
Yeah.
It's just gonna go back to that.
I
think
when Kane was doing that.
Yeah, shit. Yeah. It's just Haaland just gonna do that.
He's gonna get the ball to feet and shoot.
Yeah, they're gonna just funnel everything of life to him, and he's gonna fucking dong it.
And and this too, right? I think for us also, you were talking about earlier, was resonating with me is. If we didn't know Haaland's ownership, we would be more into him, kind of thing, where it's
yes.
Yeah. And
that's an us problem.
That's an us problem. And that's a blind spot we have. We know known information about Son, and we know what he's going to do given fitness. And we don't know that with Haaland. And, in the past where we've been, not accounting the ownership, that's where we get ourselves into trouble though, because we take those pops when the ownership percentages of the differences of the players is closer. And, when we're wrong, it's not going to hurt as bad. But these are the times when it's you really can't be wrong. You're staking so much of your season outlook on these kind of things. And
yeah, I really do have a hard time just wrapping my head around it. I'm not going to lie.
Because look at Timo,
I want to
right?
read about the ownership,
we were you were into Timo, but he wasn't in he was owned, right? But he wasn't
he was owned.
He wasn't 60%.
It wasn't Haaland. No,
it wasn't you're
way.
being bullied into what are you doing?
No chance. Not even close.
Yeah, it was. So it's it's nuts.
So basically, we're both saying, Son is a way better pick, but we just aren't letting ourselves get him.
Yeah, same with De Bruyne. I think Son and De Bruyne are both way better than Haaland right now. Again, right? We can be completely off in four games past. Nope. Haaland's better than both. He's obviously he's on pens. He's the tip of the spear on the best chance creating team that we've ever seen in our lives in this league.
Right.
He's just doing all the things. But we don't know.
And Spurs just 0-0'd home Wolves.
Yeah.
And City just won 5-0.
Yeah. It's just you're looking at a complete unknown quantity, and what that risk profile is just. It's just so much greater. We see players come in. They spent $100 million on Jack Grealish last year. He's fucking awful.
Yep.
That happens too. So, we're looking at these risks, and to us, we're there's a lot of risk, a lot of risk with Haaland, from a game week 1 standpoint.
Insane.
But, that's not.
That's the game we play.
We're belaboring this point. But so we have Raz going to Chelsea.
I'm interested in it. Yeah, it's just Raz and Bruno are the last two for mids.
Yeah. So Raz going to Chelsea and Bruno, what do you see with Raz going to Chelsea?
He might turn out to be a god tier pick. He's still weirdly underrated. I think people forget how good he was. Just scoring 20, 17, 18 goals. He's incredible. Open play. He took 2 pens.
He
that
was
whole
Son
time.
before there was Son.
Yes. Just a fucking legend. And, he might just be that. I think it's a really weird purchase from them. I'm not sure where he's going to play. I'm not sure what their front three is. I'm not sure what their midfield is, all that shit. I'm definitely not starting with him. I want to see, how it goes. but there's a very decent chance that someone like him and someone like Bruno, who's also 10, are just end up being like the best value mids in the game because they're both capable of 12 plus.
Yeah.
Value wise. So
yeah, I think it certainly looks like a wait and see.
Yeah, I think it's a wait and see.
It's just such a weird thing to see this player go from Liverpool to City to Chelsea. It's like, so what kind of a career is that you like spend substantial time on like 3 of the biggest like giants in the
weird
domestic league? You know, like usually you go abroad, like to go to 3 teams. It's going to be so weird watching him.
And
play
he's in his
Chelsea.
Prime.
Yeah, he's like 27, 28, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
he's like absolutely in his prime. Like, okay,
it's so weird.
They're paying a lot for him, and he's probably gonna not be as good in 5 years from now. But whatever. It's not my money. It's fucking Bowley's money. But it's really weird. Really weird. Yeah, Willie Bowley's money. And then Bruno, I think we talked about him enough last pod. But I mean, I like what you were thinking about him for sure. It's definitely. My thoughts.
It's sort of the thing where, as I've been thinking more and looking more at them, is like, for the same reasons, like makes Rashford interesting, and you're spending 3.5 less, which is like a little safer place to put that allocation, right? Like, so 10 million it's similar with like Haaland, right? Where there's risk there because you don't know the system, you don't know who's going to be playing where or what they're going to do from jump. Right. But we do know, that he has historically been a good FPL player, but 10 million is a lot. And when no one owns him and you're going to be forsaking, these other players who might just blow him out of the water, right? Like Son or Haaland, like you're picking him over them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the way to play the game.
Yeah.
You got to wait until you see it and you have the data and you're like, okay, no, I have much more confidence that this is the correct pick over this player.
Right. I need to adjust the like risk percentage. Now it's worth it. Because I think Bruno's going to score the same amount of points as whatever, and he's 2 million cheaper. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good thing. Adjust the risk
percentage. I
need
to read a book about fucking risk.
Yeah. Just listen to this pod, baby. We'll tell you all you need to know.
Yeah, true. We'll get Rich on for a fireside. I think he used to do that. Yeah. All right, and then let's just go to forwards. I mean, we obviously just need to start with Haaland. We got a million questions. Bread Buddy said, how much are you guys looking at ownership percentage when choosing your Game Week 1 team? At what percentage do you say, I guess I need to have him in case he dawns and I end up OR 9 million? Anna said, I feel like everything we know about Haaland should tell us to stay away. Pep signings never bet in immediately. Bundesliga signings often underperform. Small at the front seems better value. Everyone's basically just asking about fucking ownership and rotation, and Jeff and 50 cal and Bry, all roughly the same shit. Everything we've talked about, I guess. And so you're basically just saying you just got to have them.
I think you have to have them from an FPL game standpoint. You just have to have them. You're being dumb from playing this game and trying to do well if you don't have them.
And if you want to not have them, like if that's something that gets your dick hard, gamble. Don't play fantasy.
Yeah.
Haaland's
or play fantasy and you throw it out.
Yeah,
whatever.
Just go for it. Yeah.
I'm going to be dumb and hope this works.
Yeah, but Haaland is the favorite to win the Golden Boot. Bookies odds. Absolute favorite by a lot. More than Mo. 65% owned. It's just this is the game we play.
Yeah, and don't forget, you don't pick your Game Week 1 pick for 38 game weeks. Like, he could not look good, get subbed off early Game Week 1, like play badly Game Week 2, not start Game Week 3, and everyone's suddenly like, okay, like whatever. Like everyone starts jumping ship, and then it's to the point where he has to have a redemption arc before he's back in teams or he hurts you.
Yeah,
so you can do that. You can adjust quickly, and it doesn't mean it's forever. Even if you being right or being wrong or what you initially think, you can still pick the player just instead of that.
Yeah.
But let's spend a few minutes on Kane though. So Kane's same price as Haaland, 11.5 last year, 17 goals, 11 assists, almost didn't quite hit 200 point total at 192. So what do you think he's a pick?
I do.
ICT with ICT rank for forwards, influence 1. Creativity 1.
Not bad.
Threat 1.
Not bad.
ICT index 1.
Not bad, right?
Not bad. Those are good. Being 1 ahead of everyone else is good.
OR1. Hey, he's tied with us.
Hey,
I'm also ICT1 right now in this new season.
Yeah, me too. Or we're tied for last.
It's like
look at that.
Last season, not so good. Yeah, I mean, it's just buy low mentality. It's nothing really that much more than that. Obviously, when we're talking about last season, he was nowhere near Son's level. He should have been nowhere near Son's price, nowhere near captaincy because everyone should have owned Son, not even close. But if we're talking about the player and where do I project he's going to do this season, well, similarly to Son having the best season of his career, I don't expect Kane to have the worst season of his career. Like, last season was the only time he's ever finished under his XG, and he was way under. I'm like, no, that's not who he is. He's an elite finisher. He always has been for fucking 10 years of data, and it's just like all of these things where his underlines are still good. He's level with Son and like those kind of things. His XG, his shots, his fucking passing is amazing. He's still amazing. He goes down big time in price. I mean, down $1 million is still kind of a lot. And it's just a buy low. It's just not putting too much into one season and remembering, oh yeah, 2 seasons ago he put up 242. That was his last full season before last season, and he's just a couple. We know the pain because we owned Kane and not Son. But
he still got points.
I mean, he still got a ton of points.
Yeah,
and he's 4.1 under his XG. He's never been 0.1 under his XG. He's always way over. So he's just that close from finishing a few more chances and getting 7 more goals. And then we're like, yeah, he's probably 12-5 or something again, like he always is. So, I'm not starting with him. Again, I don't think people really should start with him. We got a bunch of questions about shouldn't we pick Kane over Haaland, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Again, this is rinse and repeat. Yeah, I think he's a better pick than Haaland in basically every way imaginable. But should you strategically pick him over Haaland? No. But, that's really all it is.
I think to me, the biggest thing with Kane was just watching them play and seeing how he was being used and what he was being asked to do.
Yeah.
Terrified me.
Yeah.
Because, we are routinely watching him drop deep and springing the counter and either getting the assist because his long ball was the shot creating action or being the assist of the assister. But how many times did we watch them breaking in on goal and Kane literally wasn't in the picture on the TV screen?
I mean, I agree, obviously, but
that scares me.
We're also extremely colored by the points that he got.
No, but I'm just saying from a sheer eye test of just watching them play. I know, but I'm saying
even our eye test is biased because like the thing didn't happen. Because when you actually look at just what was he doing, the shots are 7, 5, 8, 2, 4, 4. The XG is incredible.
Yeah.
0.8, 0.4, 1.2, 0.1, 0.7. Like it was there. Like he was arriving in the box and getting really good chances. He was shooting a lot. He was putting up amazing XG.
Yeah,
he just didn't finish. So then, I think it's one of those things where we sort of create what happened as opposed to what actually happened, which is like he just didn't finish.
Yeah,
and
I think there is something to the tread on his tires. Also, this isn't something that just happens in perpetuity, and we know that he's struggled with ankle, lower body, lower leg injuries for his career, and. He's just got a lot of wear and he hasn't had a lot of breaks. And, there could be a time where that starts to break down. But I mean, yes, I hear what you're saying with the underlyings and it's not like he disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But I think that that dropping in deep, just generally speaking is an issue to me because those are the best chances that the team creates and he's not really there for it. They have sustained pressure against some bad teams, sure, where he's actually playing striker, but to me he looks more like he's a reverse out of position player than a striker because I'm watching Kulusevski and Son getting out there and in the box and receiving these passes and I'm seeing Kane as like the secondary guy on the breaks coming in and arriving later rather than the other way around, which is what you want.
I don't really see it that way. Like I think that it happens sometimes, and it's like it's the sort of thing that we all sort of just focus on because it's right there. Like when it does happen in a game, like, oh my God, everyone in Discord, right, is just, oh, Kane back at fucking DM, great, you know? But then we don't like adjust for that, like, oh, when Kane made the run and got a header from 5 yards out and just missed it. We don't like, revise our thing. It's still like, God, Kane fucking DM, piece of shit.
Yeah,
you know
I'm sure
what I mean?
There's an element of that.
But it's almost irrelevant though right now because, you know, he's fit right now. He just had a break, so that's always great for him. But we still can't even really pick him. If we're playing the game, we still just like can't really even go there. So
yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, 11 assists last year. I mean, he created a ton last year, and you know that. I mean, goals and assists are literally 1 point different from the striker position, so it's not even like that's that big of a deal that, you know, maybe he's just going to be forsaking some of his goals for some assists. You know, I mean, the bonus points don't speak, you know, don't look kindly at that. But I think that the biggest thing that makes him unownable to me is that there's a 0.5 difference in Son. And I just don't see the world where he's ever going to be better than Son. They're like basically the same price to me. Like I think that needed to be. There need to be a bigger gap there. I think, you know, you give them 1.5 million gap, and then we can have a conversation about it to me. But I just don't imagine ever wanting Kane over Son. You know, when it comes from a captaincy standpoint, and you're just getting the player to captain, Son's just a better pick. He's just a better FPL pick.
Yeah, I mean, I totally hear you, and certainly last season that was the case. I just can see it because I've seen it so many times. Where okay, this is the year Kane's 8 over his XG and scores 27.
Yeah.
Like that's just happened. You know, he's done that. He's still fucking Kane. So, you know, that's, you know, and forwards that's that's
Amore.
That's Amore, you know, fucking hell. Oh my God. Let me just break up the FPL chat. I saw this fucking TikTok my friend sent me. It's this woman. She's like, she goes, if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you're already in a marriage, that's adultery. And then it cuts to this guy and he goes,
wait, hang on. What? Can you say that again? I cannot follow that. If you're in a committed relationship, you're an adulterer?
Yeah, exactly.
To whom?
No. If you're married, but you also have a side boyfriend or a girlfriend. Basically, she's stating the most obvious thing ever.
Oh, I gotcha.
If you're married and you're, you know,
and you're having an affair, then you're
that's adultery. And she's like totally serious. And then the reply is this guy goes, when the moon hits your sky, hits your eye like a big pizza pie. In some cases, that's amore. It's like that's considered amore. It's so good. Oh man! All right.
Well, we're gonna do Vardy too on this one. 9-5.
Yep, 9-5. Just made the cut.
Yeah.
So Tio's question was, for Alon, has the gambling fireside put you off Vardy? For Walsh, how nailed is Vardy in your Game Week 1 team from fuck him, fuck Leicester to in Brian we trust? And Josh said, is it finally time for the Vardy party, or do we just suck it up and go the template pick with Haaland and wait until later in the season to beat the template?
So, I mean, I think you used the wrong name there. Now it's Jesus, right? It's Jesus versus Vardy for the spot. Yeah. No, not you, Alon. Whomever asked the question. Yeah. Come on. Shame on you, Josh.
Jesus is 54.7% owned.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize I'm that influential.
It's all you. It has nothing to do with him scoring, 2 in 5 minutes.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So, what are you thinking?
I think I'm betting him to win the Golden Boot, and I'm not going to start him in my Game Week 1 team.
Okay.
I really want him. Every fiber in my being is saying X out on Haaland, put in Vardy, go have fun and spend $2 million. Every fucking thing I can imagine is telling me to do that. Yeah. But you're my pod partner and you're telling me that is just the wrong way to play the game. And
it's
then when
smart, and I agree, but it's wrong also.
But it's wrong. Yeah. I mean, we almost need a way we need like a risk profile number or something, because really the bottom line is,
we've been talking about this for years, like that risk profile thing.
I know.
Like, when do we cow and when do we
and I
stand
still
our ground?
Don't understand it
I have
at all.
No idea.
Yeah, my brain is just spinning right now. But
fucking scrambled eggs.
It's just literally green eggs and ham up there. I'm just fucking over here scratching my balls on a pod. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, I mean, 65% of people think Haaland is the best pick in the game, basically. 4% of people have Vardy. Are we that million% more confident?
Mo or Haaland?
It's probably Haaland, right?
It is.
That's insane. That's disrespectful.
It's insane. It's insane.
Mo's 59% owned. Wow.
Sorry, keep going.
No, I'm just saying, like, yeah. How confident are you that Leicester's going to just hit the ground running and Vardy's just going to pop the fuck off? They could just fucking suck.
Know. They could just suck. They have tough fixtures. They could score 4 goals in their first 4 games.
And easily. They could finish 13th in the table this season, and we'd be like, Braj, Leicester.
Yeah. It's like, they have Puel back. It's November.
Yeah, like fucking. Oh, man. So that's really the bottom line. I mean, I want him. I want everything to do with him.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowed.
Yeah, I mean, Vardy, Jesus to me is still a very active question. I don't know, who's going to be in my team game week 1. But
you think it's worth the 1.5?
Yeah. I definitely do. I think it's definitely a place where I'm happy to spend an extra 1.5.
That's just a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's moving from unknown to known quantity here.
Yeah. It's potentially moving to
I like that.
Vardy's potential 200-point player, Jesus, we don't really know. Yeah.
I mean, like Vardy literally every year, and this is the cheapest he's like ever been since their title winning season, basically, except for I think he's 9 once, right? But FPL, the game, active manager, whatever, it's very easy to find reasons why he's not preferable to other premium assets in the game. I mean, you don't have to look much further than he plays for Leicester. When you have all of these other premium assets and all these other
2 times a game.
Yeah. But, you just look at the players' point totals, you look at the eye test of just watching him and them play when he's in the team and like what he does. He's on pens. He just has everything he has every metric that you possibly could want. It's just like we're conditioned for this player to cost 7.5 or 6.5 or 8 or something, right? On these more mid-table-y to upper mid-table, lower.
Yeah, no, he's just not that at all.
He's just not that at all. And he shouldn't be because he's better than that. But it's like, this is again, right? Like, me, if I go Jesus instead, it's just like I'm falling prey to, again, right, what we've been talking about with Haaland. And like, is this a place where I'm comfortable putting the risk profile? Like, I'm definitely more comfortable doing it. Like, I think that it's a lot more assured to me that Vardy outpoints Jesus in any small, large, upside down, ass fuck sampling size of games.
I agree with that. I think 1.5 is actually like fair.
Yeah.
Between them two. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, do I actually, find it when it's like, well, you can, right, again, you look at the other side and it's like, Jesus is in half the teams, he just starts well, price starts skyrocketing, and the 1.5 is actual like a substantial sum. I mean, this isn't like Van Dijk versus Robbo, right? I mean, 1.5 is a game-changing bracket in another spot of your team. So, the way that falls down, trickles down matters, and, I'll see, but yeah, I definitely still feel as strongly as I did in our last pod about Vardy. It's just a matter of, is there a way to fit him in? I'm just not sure.
I mean, I'm clicking all the buttons right now, and it's very difficult.
It is hard. I think you have to go kind of like a 5-2-3. I mean, if we're still both on Solanke, which I think we are, I think you have to go a 5-2-3 with like a budget mid with Mo.
Like Gordon is sort of the enabler that I like most at this point, where I think he can be your 11th player. Like, I think you can start him every week, I think.
I totally agree with that.
So, like, you have Nico, you have Gordon. Like, I think it's possible. And
in a 4-3-3.
Yeah, I think it's possible. It's just it comes down to what we were talking about earlier. Like, is it worth it when you're only captaining one player a week to go 9-5? Like, it might be. It absolutely might be. I just don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, 9-5. I mean, 9-5 is very different than like 12. When we're talking about like, can you have Mo, Son, and Haaland, right? Like, yeah,
it's awkward, but at the same time, the thing that I like about it is you can get any forward in the game, basically. The only
you can double switch. Yeah, you're a double switch away from just like getting some soupy mid-price guy and getting a premium.
or 8 million forward, and boom.
Yeah, it does let you have that flexibility.
Yeah,
which is nice.
I was actually thinking about Bowen because we spent some time talking about him on the last pod. He's not in my tinkers or anything, but it's sort of the same logic. Like, because there's so many 8 million mids that are like pretty good. And
you can ignore the price changes.
Yeah, ignore the price changes. You can wait till Friday to make your move or whatever, and you can always afford them with Bowen because there's no way he's going down 0.5 and that other guy's going up that much. So
and that is
it's pretty. Nice.
That's a definite reasonable thing to consider because you have the fail safe of I can jump out after a few games if he's blanking and whatever, but. The other side is like, well, we still like kind of think he might be a great pick, and maybe we're just like, exactly. Then everyone's getting Bowen because it's like, he's just popping off again.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other side of the coin where it might just work out, and then you don't downgrade him because he's really good.
That's like kind of like
that's Vardy
the opposite of like you have Neto, right? Where it's like
that's why I don't like that.
Yeah, it's like well, if he doesn't succeed, I'm kind of fucked.
Then you're just starting Nico Williams every week. Is that good? Like I'm not sure.
Because the thing and the reason too of this mainly too game week 1 is like whatever other 5-5 guy scores is price rising. So it's like I'm either gonna just act immediately and knee jerk, or I'm gonna give it time and I'm gonna just like get bad points for a few game weeks and be in bad shape and have to downgrade a spot that I might not want to upgrade this guy to another punt. Those are the kind of players that get you in trouble. But having someone like Bowen, where it's like best case you just don't transfer. Worst case, you transfer him to another great player.
You get to pick any mid in
any mid in the game, basically.
Yeah, basically. So
and with VAR, granted, the more expensive, the easier it is. But like with Vardy, you have the pick of the litter, basically. There's only like 3 forwards that are more expensive. With Jesus, you're down a notch, but there's still a lot of options. So
there's a lot, but again, when you're at an 8 million mid, and it's similar with the 8 million forwards, again, like if DCL scores game week 1, he's 8.1 the next day.
Yeah.
You can't afford him anymore if you want to go Jesus to DCL. That's just how it works. Yeah. Kai starts up top with Mount and Raz flanking him, and Chelsea score 3 and look great. He's 8.1. You can't get him anymore. Yeah. So that's, it's that John Wooden quote of flexibility is the key to stability. It's actually true.
It's kind of true.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
I still don't know what flexibility is, but sometimes
that's what we're talking about, I think. Yeah. There's questions, but we're not going to do them.
No, we're not doing them.
There's anus slaps, which I am going to do.
Oh, yeah, baby.
So
we're back. We have friends.
We have friends again. We're getting signups again. New people in Discord. You love to see it. So shout out to Matt, Aaron Duffy, Cody Lawrence, Jack Mickelwaith, Evan McGee, Phil V, Andrew Kin, Wibbler Wobbler, Brian Sutton, Jared Jones. Get in there, baby.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. Any last words by you?
Good job by you, baby.
Oh, good job by you. Check us out at FMLPL.com. Follow us on Twitter at FMLPL Sports page. /FMLPL. Subscribe, rate, review.